Welcome to the Resilient Retail Game Plan, a podcast for anyone wanting to start, grow or scale a profitable creative product business with me, Catherine Erdley. The Resilient Retail Game Plan is a podcast dedicated to one thing, breaking down the concepts and tools that I've gathered from 20 years in the retail industry and showing you how you can use them in your business. This is the real nuts and bolts of running a successful product business, broken down in an easy, accessible way. This is not a podcast about learning how to make your business look good. It's the tools and techniques that will make you and your business feel good. Confidently plan, launch and manage your products, and feel in control of your sales numbers and cash flow to help you build a resilient retail business. Welcome to the Resilient Retail Game Plan. My name is Catherine Erdley and I'm your host as well as the founder of the Resilient Retail Club, which is my membership group for product businesses. Why not go over to resilientretailclub.com, check it out. And if you use the code 10podcast, that's 10podcast, you can get £10 off your first month. We would love to have you join us and 300 other product business owners as a member. Today, we are continuing with my mini-series on building your business on a budget, and I am joined by the fabulous Jayne Lasley, who has a background in retail, just like myself. She was working on the buying side, though, so much more product-focused, and she decided to use that experience to create her own brand for fuller-busted women. She shares her fantastic journey as well as her top tips for building a really, really engaged and dedicated audience. Thank you so much, Jayne, for joining me today. Do you want to start off by introducing yourself and your business?
Thank you for having me on, Catherine. I am Jayne Lasley, the founder and owner of a fuller bust clothing brand called Fairlie Curved. I worked as a buyer for almost 20 years. I had the idea of Fairlie Curved while I was at university in my late teens, early 20s. After always struggling to get clothes to fit my 30 double H chest, wanted to be able to wear all the fashion trends, strapless tops, backless dresses, and was unable to wear any of those trends because I had a big, huge chest. So during my final year of uni, we could either design a collection and make it and start exhibit it, or we could do a dissertation. So I took the chance to make some clothes that would actually fit me, designed a collection for fuller bust girls. My maiden name was Fairlie, so I called it Fairlie Curved. It got a fantastic reaction. I graduated with a 2-1, but I was also offered a job in fashion buying the same week that I graduated, and I never took the range forward. And I loved working as a buyer, traveling the world, sourcing clothes for big high street retailers, absolutely loved it. But Fairlie Curved was always at the back of my mind, and it was always a huge regret that I had. And then living in Scotland, there's very few buying head offices in Scotland anymore. So I had moved out of buying and started to work in sales. And then during the lockdown, when we were all stuck at home, I started clearing out the garage and I found all my Fairlie Curved designs. And it just brought that regret back of not ever doing anything with the brand. So I couldn't sleep that night for thinking about it. Sat up, thought I've got 2 young children, worked full time, just thought that I didn't really have the finances or the time to start the brand. But I did a lot of research that night and realised there was very few styling pages for fuller bust girls. So there's lots for petite, for tall, for plus size. There's not a lot for fuller bust. So, and over the years, I've just learned to really dress for my shape. So I use lots of distraction techniques, and lots of people still say to me now, Jayne, I had no idea you were so busty. So thinking I was too old and too long in the tooth to start the brand, I decided to start a styling page on Instagram. I called it Fairlie Curved. I thought that was a good way to carry on the name. And within about a week, I had 1,000 followers. It just started like that. And it's gone from strength to strength. I lost my job during the pandemic. And I just thought with the styling page, right, there's something that I could do with this. You know, this is a real dream that I've had for 20 years. I'm not going to get another job in the pandemic while everybody's stuck at home on furlough. But I could maybe start this brand now. And that's how it all came about. I'm sure we'll talk about more detail as we go on, but that's who I am, what I do.
I love the idea that it's like, kept you up at night and you're like, okay, this is it, I'm going to do it. So you started it with a very small budget and Can you explain a little bit about how did you figure out where to focus your money when it came to starting the brand?
Yeah, of course. So I started with a very small budget. I started with £500 in my tiny spare bedroom. Because it had started as a styling page, I had this amazing community of women that were following me for outfit ideas. And the same week, actually, that I lost my job, girls had started to message me to say, do you have a shop? Where can we buy your clothes? And at the time, I didn't. I was going back and saying, well, no, it's just a styling page. I'm just giving recommendations. I'll give bra reviews, or I'll show the clothes or the fabrics and things that I wear that work for a fuller bust. But I started to get more and more messages to say, have you got a shop? Where can we buy from? So when I lost my job, I just thought, right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start this brand. There's obviously a massive need for it. So I actually put a poll on my Instagram stories just saying, like, what are the real problem items that you can't get to fit your shape? Expecting ladies to say dresses or blouses, anything that buttoned. And I was shocked at how many people said, I just want a well-fitting t-shirt. So using my sourcing skills from working as a buyer, I was able to source a really lovely organic cotton stretch t-shirt, which was generous across the chest, but it was quite boxy, which is usual, so for fuller bust girls, you would size up to get something to fit your chest, but then it's so boxy, it just looks huge everywhere else.
Yeah.
So I sourced these boxy t-shirts. That was what I spent my budget on to start with. Got my old sewing machines down from the loft, found a guy that would service them. So he came out and served it because they've literally not been out the loft for 20 years. Got them serviced, and that was where I started with the £500. I also spent a little bit of my budget on, I got the sewing machines out and I designed a pattern that would basically tailor the t-shirt. So I sewed all the t-shirts myself to give that hourglass shaped in at the body. So initially the budget was spent on stock of the t-shirts, which I then sewed myself in the house. And then I spent a small part of the budget on branding because I thought if I'm going to sell these t-shirts, I want them to feel like a gift when they arrive. So I spent money on boob printed wrapping paper, really nice swing tickets, so that it felt pink bags that were recyclable, so that, people felt like there was a lot of thought in the brand, although it literally was from my spare bedroom.
Yes, yeah, of course. So the community, so you started with 1,000, well, you got 1,000 Instagram followers in a week, but at the time at which you started with the t-shirts, how many followers did you have at that point?
Probably about maybe 4,000.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe about that.
So effectively you had started building this community is really where it all stemmed from. You'd found people people had found you, I should say, really, who had the similar issues that you had, that were enjoying your content, and then they started asking for products. It was very much the products grew out of the community. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. And it's still to this day, it still comes from that. So I will put polls up all the time saying, right, girls, what are you looking for? My range has been built around the demand of my customers and my followers. And a lot of my followers feel like friends now. I get girls that will message me and say, Jayne, I bought this dress from, like a high street shop. How do you think it looks on me? How do you think, So lots of girls that will follow me just for the styling tips.
Yeah.
For example, I've got a button front dress that does not fit me anymore. There's not a chance I'm getting it fastened across my chest. It fitted when I was younger. It doesn't fit me anymore. I really try not to beat myself up about gaining weight. We all fluctuate, but I'll just try and find a different way of wearing something that doesn't fit me anymore. So I'll wear that dress over jeans with a vest and I wear it open like a jacket.
Yeah.
And I've got so many girls, and it's really old, and I've got so many girls that will message me and say, oh my goodness, I've got something in my wardrobe like that. I keep saying I'll lose weight and I'll wear it. Thank you so much. I'm going to pull it out and I'm going to wear it like that. So I've got lots of girls that follow me, don't necessarily buy from me, but they'll follow me for the outfit ideas and for the styling hints and tips. I've got lots of girls that say, please do a Fairlie flat range. I'm not busty. I love your designs. Will you do Fairlie flat? So that part of the community for me is just as important as all the girls that are on my emailing list, because they're the real cheerleaders. They're the ones that are sharing you on Facebook, they're sharing you on Instagram, they're telling their friends about you, I found this fabulous page for outfit ideas or for bra reviews. So yeah, it definitely had a really strong community before I even started the brand, and I had no intention of starting the brand. So the community that at the time, the community that followed me for genuine content. They trust me because I was never trying to sell anything. I was just trying to, one, kill some time in furlough, keep my maiden name alive, and this idea that I had, So I think I have a very trusting community, which is really important to me. I don't want them to feel like they're being sold to all the time. I want to feel that they're getting outfit ideas, inspiration, and other valuable content, really.
Yeah, no, completely. And I think that comes across. We were talking just a little bit before that you have a lot of repeat customers.
So that 80-20 rule, that they say 80% of your sales comes from 20% of your customer. And I would say that's absolutely true. I have ladies that will message me every month and say, Jayne, what's new? What's coming? I have ladies that say, I don't buy from anyone else now. I just buy from you. So it started as a fuller bust brand, absolutely, for fuller bust girls. But what was happening, I was styling my t-shirts or my tops with other things, and girls were then messaging me and saying, where did you get that skirt from? Where did you get that trouser from?
Right.
We now offer a full outfit so that girls can come on and buy the top, the trouser, the skirt. I accessorize a lot of things with chunky jewellery just to raise that attention up above your chest. Girls message me and say, where's your necklace from? So we now offer jewellery, tops, dresses, skirts, the full range. We offer accessories so that people can come and buy a full outfit.
So that was how it evolved then from those first t-shirts. So you made those t-shirts, you tailored them to fit, and then was that it kind of pretty much went from there? Were they very popular when you first launched them?
Yeah, incredible. So we were shipping them to America, Australia, and my mum was coming up and helping me pack the orders. I was blown away really by how far and wide we were selling the t-shirts and how much of a demand for them there was. So very quickly registered the design, got that design registered, right? That's a keeper. We need to keep that under the Fairlie Curved books. And then I really just started to solve other outfit and fuller bust wardrobe problems. So an outfit that always stuck in my mind for my 40th birthday, I had kind of champagne, sparkly sequin trousers. I wanted to wear a cream, like kind of nice cami top underneath. Could not get one anywhere that would hide my bra strap because it was little spaghetti strap. And my big, natural bra strap that's about 2 inches wide, was seen under every cami that I could find. And I ended up wearing a kind of cream blazer the whole night. I bought this cami that looked nice with a little bit of lace trim, but you could see my bra straps, and I wore a jacket the whole night. So when I started to expand the range, I started to think back about all the outfits that I've had to just make do because I had a fuller bust and I had to wear a bra with them. So the second item that I added to the range was our perfect lace cami, which is a really simple lace cami, but the straps are just thick enough that they hide your bra.
That's brilliant. Yeah. As a fuller bust customer myself, I'm just like nodding along like, yes, that's amazing.
So yeah, it's just, and to be honest with you, we talk about community in terms of the girls that I've built on social media and the followers that I've got on that. I actually have 2 really strong communities. I feel I've got my customer who has grown and built along with me. So I had a small community when I started the brand. It's just gone from strength to strength because they tell their friends and it's all about word of mouth. But in the background, I've also got another really amazing community of suppliers and people that I've worked with over the years that I've been building for 20 years and had no idea I was doing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, I can only think how useful your background must have come into, because presumably you no longer tailor the t-shirts yourself, right?
So I actually still do, yes, but
okay, all right.
Yeah, and I love that because I think my customers love that I still do that.
Yeah.
I need to expand the size range on it and I need to hold more in stock. So I am looking at trying to source that now so that I'm not actually making it. And again, it is a supplier that I've dealt with years ago who's going to help me to do that, because the factory minimums for a small business are just so small. So what happened when I started the page as a styling page, 2 girls reached out. One girl who was a photographer, who was an older sister of a friend of mine from school, and she reached out and said, absolutely love what you're doing. This is incredible. If you ever take any of this forward, I'll help you. She's a real advocate for women in business, really inspiring, really supportive, has her own photography business, was a social worker, and has just pivoted her business. She's pivoted again because of the COVID lockdowns. And she's now like a business support and advisor. So knowledgeable. And she basically reached out and said, look, Jayne, I'll help you do your branding photography. I'll help you do. And she did it all free of charge. She said, look, I just want to support you and help you and guide you and give you some of my expertise that I've learned over the years. So that was an amazing lady to have in my community that I didn't even realize I had. And she reached out to me before I even started the brand. And another amazing girl, when I was a young trainee buyer, she was a young trainee designer, and we just clicked. We got on really, really well. And we've kind of kept we're both Virgos, we're both very similar. And we kind of kept in touch, although we had gone down different career paths in the last probably 5-10 years. She reached out at the very start and said, Jayne, this is amazing. If you do a clothing range, you should do a clothing range. There's a gap in the market for this. And at the time I was like, I'm still working, I've got my job, I've got kids, I'm never going to do it. But she said, if you do, please get in touch because I'd love to support you. So she's a director of a factory now in the UK, and their minimums should be 500 pieces. Now, I was able to do that perfect lace cami with the strap that just hides your bra because she enabled me to do 100 pieces. Now, I would never have been able to do that at the start of my business hadn't I had that support.
It's amazing. It's such a great example of how, those connections across your whole life are coming into play for the business.
I mean, it's actually it's unbelievable. So Fairlie Curved is for fuller bust girls, but the name doesn't lend itself to just fuller bust. So Fairlie Curved, you can be fairly curved anywhere. You could have a small waist, but curvy bum, curvy hips. So I'm starting to develop now Fairlie Curved jeans, which are for that perfect hourglass, Kim K, big bum, big small waist shape. And I was in Manchester not long ago. I was stumbled across a denim supplier. And I just went in to see if he had any curve-friendly jeans range styles that he already had in the range. And I was asking him about the rise measurement on a jean. I asked him about the wash on another jean. And he said to me, who are you? Normally we just, who are you? Where have you came from? Normally we just have boutique owners that come in and they'll buy a pack. They don't ask any questions. They don't negotiate the price. They just buy a pack and away they go. He said, well, I've never had anybody come in here and ask for what the rise measurement is on something. Now, the rise, for any listeners that don't understand, is that crotch measurement, basically from your waist down to your crotch. So for a curve-friendly jean, you need a high rise. You need it so you're not pulling it up all the time, and the measurement needs to be long. So I explained who I was, what my name was, that I had been a buyer for years and I'd set up this brand on my own. And he said to me, I've got an email from you. Hold on a minute. And he went away and he found an email on his laptop that was from 2014. Now, at the time, he said, I've kept this email all these years. He said, at the time I was working for a menswear brand, denim shop in Glasgow, who were trying to add a women's wear range. I was actually my son was only 5 months old. I was just doing it 2 days a week just to try and help them launch this women's wear brand. And this denim supplier contacted me. He was a menswear supplier to them. And he contacted me and said, look, can I come in and have a meeting, show you my ladies wear? And he came in and the range was awful. It was terrible. And I said, look, I don't think this is going to work. I think your handwriting is really menswear. I don't think this is going to be for us. And he was like, no, it's selling really well. It's selling well. Please try it. So I said, look, I'll do a small trial in my top shops and we'll see how it goes. Just to be polite. But I knew it was going to be a disaster. But I thought, right, I'll give it a go. And if it works, I'll hold my hands up and say, right, I've made a mistake. Anyway, it was a disaster. And I sent him this email, just breaking it down to say, look, this is why I don't think it's worked. This is what I think you could do differently. This is the styles that are working for me just now and are selling really well. And I think this is why. These are the price points we need to try and hit. And I basically just gave him really good constructive criticism. So that's the email that he kept. And he said, normally buyers don't give you the time of day. They ghost you. They don't really give you that feedback. If it doesn't work, they don't answer your calls. They don't reply to your emails. They basically just ghost you. I've never had anybody that's come back to me before, first of all, giving me the time for the appointment when really they knew that I probably wasn't the right supplier for them. And two, gave me this level of feedback. He said, I read your email all the time. I pull it out and I read it. So,
well, that's amazing. And did he, I'd love to know, I wonder if I'm sure that had a pretty big impact on his sales then for future ranges.
Well, he's now a women's wear, so now he only does women's wear denim.
Oh my goodness, that's so crazy.
And now, so basically this amazing man has now agreed to do my curve-friendly jeans. He's put all the production down with the factory at his risk and is going to allow me to call off the stock as and when I need it. Now that
is amazing.
I mean, you know how high denim
yeah, of course.
There is absolutely no way at this stage in my business that I would be able to develop my own jean with my own fit with a factory. It would swallow up all my cash flow. I just wouldn't be able to do it without huge investment.
I love this. And, it takes me back to my days in retail when I always had a policy that no matter what, because there were people, I mean, I think I can probably say this to you as a former buyer. You probably work with some buyers who are like this. it can be a hard place to be, fashion retail, clothing retail, and there are definitely some big egos, and there are definitely people who will talk to you depending on what they perceive your level to be in your importance in the business, right? And I always had a policy that no matter who somebody was, whether they were like the entry level person, well, actually, to be honest, you always are nice to the entry level people in the retail businesses, because they're the gatekeepers. They're often the ones who do things like control the bookings to the warehouse and push out which stock goes to which store. So if you actually want something done, you're nice to those people. But there are a lot of people who didn't realize that. And I would always think that, it's a small industry. These things do come back and haunt you. And all it would take is, if you spoke to someone who'd say, oh, so-and-so has contacted us for this position, all it takes is someone to kind of like slightly shake their head and be like, oh no, and then you'd be like, okay, maybe I don't want to, maybe that's not the right person. So I think it's the right thing to do anyway, morally. But my policy was always like, I remember someone saying it to me way back at the beginning, like, always be nice to people on your way up, because you never know who you'll meet on your way down, type thing. And I think that what's so lovely about both of those stories is that these are examples of that in action. You're getting that treatment because you yourself have kind of, because you've built relationships. It's all about relationships, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I learned that very early on. One of the first buyers I worked with she was fantastic at her job, but she banged the table and she shouted and bawled, and if deliveries were late, everybody knew about it, and she was on suppliers' cases. And I remember one day one of our suppliers really let us down, and she said to me, can you call that other supplier and see if we can pull that stock in? And I'll never forget calling him and saying, look, I really need to ask you a favour. And he said to me, is she sitting there? And I said, and he said, take it, she's on your back to try and get this done. And I said, well, yeah, it's important, we've been let down. And he said to me, Jayne, I will do this for you and for you only, because you treat me with respect, you're polite, you're well-mannered, and I know that you're going to get such a hard time if I don't make this happen for you, but I'm not doing this for her, I'm doing this for you. Wow. And I remember just thinking, right, I'll never treat anybody other than with the utmost respect throughout my career. And I hope that it's proven that now, because I really do have some suppliers I haven't seen for 10 years that are bending over backwards for me now, really honestly, truly supporting me in a way that would be impossible if I was to walk in off the street, as a new buyer and expect to get those minimums or, that level of support. It just would not happen. And it's all down to the relationships and the community that I built when I was working. Absolutely.
Oh, that's amazing. That's so lovely to hear. And I think what's interesting as well about your story, because obviously we talked a little bit, or you sent me some information beforehand, and I think what really stuck out to me was you've carried that idea forward, that respect and treating people well, and it feels like you really do that for your customers. So can you talk a little bit about how you go out of your way really to build those relationships with your customers?
I lost my job, like I said, when I started this brand. So I am forever grateful of my customers. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be paying my mortgage just now. It's that simple. They've supported me. Not that they realised it at the time, because I didn't say, I've lost my job and I'm starting this brand. I absolutely kept that to myself. But they supported me in a time that I really needed it. And it's down to my customers that the brand is as successful as it is. So I always want to show them how grateful I am. So simple things that I have done this year alone. Valentine's Day, I just randomly selected. So I've got I would say probably about 100 customers on my website that are constant regular buyers. And I'll randomly pick 20 of them at a time, and I'll just send them a gift that they're not expecting.
Completely unexpected, just to give.
Unexpected. And again, it doesn't cost me a lot of money. Because of my sourcing skills, I'm quite good at keeping in touch with all my suppliers if they're having a clearance, or if there's old stock that they want to clear or sell off. Mostly accessories, so like scarves or jewellery, small items that wouldn't feel weird if you received them. If you received a top,
right? Yeah.
Just a really nice item that you would like to receive as a gift. So I'll keep an eye on any of clearance deals with my suppliers. I'll stock up on, I've got like a gift box that I've got or a gift shelf that I've got all my stock sitting there. So for Valentine's Day, randomly selected 20 of my top customers, sent them a Galentine's gift. Hope you're having a fabulous day. This is just to make you smile.
Oh, how lovely.
Yeah, I do that all the time for our for our website anniversary. I'll do the same, pick another. And I've got a note of the customers that I've sent that to so that I make sure the next random 20, it's somebody different. And I just try and make them smile. I really do. So I've got customers that I can see that buy every month. If they raise a really big order. So I had a lady the other week that spent £400. She actually bought, so the bracelet that I had sent her for Valentine's Day, she had bought that necklace to match. So I had sent her
lovely.
So I was going to put the necklace in and I thought, well, I wonder if that's as a freebie because she'd spent so much. And I thought, I wonder if that's the same bracelet that I sent her. And I went on, check my Excel sheet. Yep, it is. But I'll need to find her something else. So I put in a scarf. So if people spend a lot and give me a lot of support, I love to be able to gift them back and just show my appreciation. The other thing that I do, I have customer photos of the month. I think customers, especially new customers, get so surprised when they buy something that fits. So I get lots of ladies that will say to me, I know you don't have a shop, Jayne, but could I come to your office and try this on? I've got an occasion to go to. I can never find a dress that fits. And they come in and they'll try things on and they'll say, oh my goodness, it fits me. This is the first time that this has happened. I can't believe this is fit. So they will regularly buy from me. And when they go out, they always take a picture and they'll tag me in it or they'll send me in it because they feel so good and they want to say, look at me, don't I look fabulous? So I do a photo of the month every month where I'll pick, sometimes I pick more than one. I'll just pick a photo that I really love that a customer has sent me or shared, and then I'll send them a gift as a thank you for sharing it. I do the same with my Google reviews. So we've got over 100 5-star Google reviews, which are all honest reviews. When I have a really tough day, I'll just get my Google reviews up and read them. Sometimes I'm crying. It's girls that are saying, this brand has made me change how I feel about myself. I hated my body before and now I actually really
that must be so moving.
So rewarding. And that's the real drive for me, to just keep helping ladies like myself feel good. So we'll do a random selection on one of those spinning wheels, we put all the names in and we'll pick every month from our Google reviews. So once your review's in there, you could win that randomly every month. And again, we'll just send them a prize to say, thank you so much for taking the time to write that review. It means a lot to a small business.
Oh, that's such a lovely idea.
But here's a gift to thank you for doing that. And what happens in return? So I have actually done that out of wanting to make my customers feel appreciated, but actually it comes back. You say good things come back to good people. So what happens then is the customer photographs it, puts it on their social media, all their friends see it, and then you get more followers. And that was never the goal or the aim of me doing that. It really was to say, I really want to thank you. This brand wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for you. So thank you so much for your support. But in return, you end up getting more content and more coverage and more followers from it. So it's something that I hope as the business grows, I will never stop doing. I'll always want to reward and say thanks to my customers for their support.
It sounds wonderful. It sounds, and I love that, what you're saying about you're actually then getting that user-generated content because everyone's sharing, saying, hey, look what I got,
Yeah, it's great, really good. And it gives, the days. So I'm actually just today working on a What You Wore Wednesday post. So we've got about 5 customers alone this week that have sent me pictures saying, oh my goodness, Jayne, this fits me so well. I love it. Or, I've had to buy the second colour. So I really want to shout about my customers in that way as well, and share a picture of them because they all look so fabulous.
Yeah.
And just use their quote of what they've sent. So that makes them feel good because they look, they look fab on a post, but also it really helps me in terms of content too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love how on your website as well, you have a big picture of lots of customers and
So we don't use models. We don't use any models. All the girls on the website are all friends and family. We all did our own makeup. It is really back to basics, how the average woman looks. I mean, some of my friends are absolutely gorgeous, don't get me wrong. Could be models. But my mum's on there, I'm on, it's just normal women. And I think a lot of my customers love that because it's a community that they can relate to.
To what extent do you think your success really does come down to these? Well, I suppose you've already said these like core customers. You're saying 80% of the sales then come from this core.
So I had a lovely lady who pops in quite a lot to the office. She doesn't particularly like online shopping. She likes to be able to come in and try stuff on. So I've got a bit of an open door policy now where I say, just let me know, make sure I'm in. But yeah, you're welcome. We've got a wee changing area in the office and they can come in and try stuff on. So she bought a gorgeous kind of tulle skirt. Her daughter then pinched it, who's 21. So her daughter now comes in with her when she's shopping. And last week she brought her mum in. And I was like, and her mum bought loads of tops. And I was like, I actually can't tell you how happy I am that my brand can cater for each of your generations. You know, it's so good that there's something for you all. So she's a nurse and she popped in again early this week and she said, just to collect an order, and she said that she had been at like a team meeting and she was sharing to everybody all about Fairlie Curved, telling all, you know, her staff members, all. And that to me sometimes means more than people that are buying from it. Word of mouth. And funny, another girl that I worked with a few years ago messaged me and said, I've just been out with all my best friends from school. And one of the girls just said to me, oh, wait to hear about this amazing brand I found online, Fairlie Curved. It's so good. She was like, that's my friend. So she says, it's amazing that I'm getting out at other people who they're talking about you.
Yeah.
Know you. So word of mouth, we are relatively unknown, but definitely the girls that are in the Fairlie Curved club, we feel like a club. You know, it's a bit of a cult.
Yeah. So if somebody's listening to the podcast and they're thinking, wow, that sounds amazing. I'd love some of that. I'd love some such dedicated customers. What advice would you give?
So I think the big thing for me, and the reason I grew so quickly early on, you know, they talk about social media, be social on social media. And that is one of the biggest tips that I can give. So when I first started to do the research and look into it, there's not a lot of clothing brands. So I would go on Fuller Bust Bra social media pages.
Yeah.
And just have a look and see, just do research really to see what the customers were saying, what were they asking for, what sizes were they looking at. And I would maybe reply to a few comments because I would feel the same way that, you know, just naturally, if somebody feel like that. And then that person would look on my page and say, oh, that looks interesting, and follow me.
Right.
Again, it wasn't intentional, but it ended up creating followers just from being social with other people that are in that Fuller Bust community. So simple.
And it was all about, and again, this is the theme I think that's come up a lot in this sort of mini series about building your business on a budget. And is that question, who else has the relationship with the customer that I want? Which in your case, that makes a lot of sense. Fuller Bust bra, Fuller Bust swimwear, you know, it's kind of the people that they're all going to be serving the same community as you.
And they're also supportive. So everyone in the Fuller Bust community all supports each other, which is amazing, you know, because we're a niche. Although we're not that much of a niche now. So the average bra size is now a 36 double D. 11 years ago, it was a 34B.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So it's quite a jump in 11 years. And also 8 out of 10 women wear the wrong bra size. Most commonly, women are wearing a band which is too big. So if you think you've got big boobs, you think that big number matters, but it doesn't, you know. So it's the cup size, it's the letter that really determines your chest size. So lots of girls will maybe, I mean, I've got friends, some of the girls when I started this brand messaged me and said, oh, Jayne, I remember when we were in that nightclub that night when you were like 18, 19, I can spot a badly fitting bra a mile away. And a couple of girls has mentioned and said, you changed my life that night in that nightclub when you said, you've got the wrong bra size on. Never forget it. One of my friends was like, no, I'm a 36C. I've always been a 36C. And I was like, there's not a chance you're a 36C. No way. She got a tiny, tiny little frame. And I said, look, come into the toilet and I'll show you. And I whipped off my 30 double G. She put it on and it just instantly changed the shape of her body. You know, it just gave her the support. It lifted her up. So she said, I've never looked back. So I think a lot of girls do that. They wear a big number at the back and a small size. So there's that 36 double D probably isn't accurate if you think 8 out of 10 women are wearing the wrong bra.
Yeah, I believe it. So basically the advice is go out, find other people in that community and start being social.
Be social, yes, social media, you know, the names on the tins. So find the people that are similar to your niche, that are in your community, find your tribe, be authentic. You've got to be you. You've got to be, and you know, people buy from people. Sometimes some of my followers will say, oh, Jayne, take a break. You know, you need to have some time off. If someone messages me, I'm messaging you back. And that's in all aspects of life for me. You know, I would never, I'm probably worse now socially in terms of my family and friends, in terms of replying to messages, but I'm always the type of person that if somebody messages me, I message them back.
Yeah.
very much like that on social media. If somebody messages me and asks me for help on a size or looking for advice on something, I will get back to you straight away. So that when you look at my Google reviews, a lot of my customers really appreciate that. Quick response, honesty. And if they send me a message, I'm replying to you straight away. I value the time that you're giving me for my brand, and I'm going to respect that by, I'll answer you as soon as I possibly can.
Love it. So what is next for Fairlie Curved?
Oh, wow. So we've just recently moved into a bigger office so that we can employ more staff. I would absolutely love to wholesale the brand. I've had a bit of mixed advice on it. Some people are saying, you wholesale the brand, but you're doing that for a lot less money because your margins are a lot tighter. I feel that it would be a really good way to get the brand out there in some bricks and mortars, nice boutique shops. I think it would be quite good just to spread the word. I have lots of customers that are local to me that, like I say, will pop into the office, but I've got lots of customers worldwide that can't possibly do that. I do have girls that are maybe from London, and when they come up to Glasgow, I've got a girl from Ireland actually coming over next week who's coming for work, and they're just saying, look, can I pop in while I'm over? Which really makes my day, when you
really that's good. Amazing.
So I think maybe wholesale, so that people that are a bit further afield do have somewhere that they could go in and try the brand on. But yeah, I really do keep it on a budget. I try and keep my costs low. It's not an expensive office place I've got. It's in a pretty rundown industrial estate, but we've made the office really nice. We've painted it pink. That always works. And I just try and keep my costs as low as I possibly can. I've got 2 young kids, so I don't want to be working 40-hour weeks. So, our office hours are usually 25 hours. So everybody in the office has got really flexible working. We try and do it around school hours. There might come a point where we have to increase that. But yeah, I'm just trying to keep it tight just now, walk before I can run. Don't want to get too ahead of myself. But at the moment, sales are good. We're 50% up on the year from last year. Just trying to build it organically as much as I can. So I would say probably wholesale and probably maybe a revamp of the website. I think we're probably outgrowing that now. Again, that's another community, the amount of people that helped me in terms of just doing things at the start. The website was built by one of my best friends from school. He reached out and just said, look, I'll help you, Jayne. So I think, like you say, treat everybody on the way up as you would on the way down. They definitely want to support, especially small businesses now, I think, as well, and local businesses. People want to
for sure
help you as much as they possibly can, which means the world. So yeah, probably rebrand of the website and wholesale.
And the sky's the limit. Well, do you want to finish up by telling everyone where they can find out more about Fairlie Curved?
Yes, thank you. So our website is www.fairlie. Now, Fairlie is spelt Fairlie because it's my maiden name, so not the word Fairlie. Curved, all lowercase, all one word, .com. And I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and it's just at Fairlie Curved. I think the Facebook might be Fairlie Curved Style. We also have a private Facebook Fairlie Curved Girls Club, which is just a private, safe space that women can go on. And, lots of girls will say, I'm looking for a brand this size. Can anybody give any recommendations? Or, I'm looking at the Fairlie Curved dress. I'm only 5'3". Does anybody have it who's short? So it's a really good place where girls will just go on and ask for advice from each other. And that's ran by some of my customers. So it's not run by me.
Amazing.
Yeah, my customers are the admins on that, because I want it to feel like it's for the customers. It's for them. Not a selling tool for me. I want it to really feel like a community and a safe space for them. So yeah, all of the social media channels and our website, fairliecurved.com.
Thank you so much for listening. Why not head over to @Resilient Retail Club on Instagram, say hi, let me know what you thought about today's episode. And again, I love it when you share the photos of where you are listening. If you have a moment to rate and review the podcast, either rate it in Spotify or write a review in iTunes, then that would be fantastic. It really helps get the podcast out in front of more people. And of course, if you subscribe or follow, you'll be the first to know about each new episode every week. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, then I invite you to check out resilientretailclub.com. The Resilient Retail Club is the membership for anyone wanting to start, grow or scale a profitable product business. No more trawling Google trying to find the answers to your questions or wading through general business advice that speaks mainly to service-based businesses. Whether you're still at the idea stage or you've been going for a while but want to get more focused and organised when it comes to your business, the Resilient Retail Club is the place for you. With a library of courses tailored to creative product businesses, several live sessions a month, and a supportive and active community, the Resilient Retail Club is the perfect membership to help you hit your goals faster. Check it out at resilientretailclub.com.